Hello and welcome to Shiny Side Out with
Dave
and Mackie, and he was not muted. Live from the Sydney studios in Australia. If you didn't know, Revolution Radio has a chat room, and we're in there right now. We actually are, so you can come in there and join us.
We are.
Simply good. Yeah, he is too, right? He is Narara, and I'm Mackie. You can't miss us. So you can simply go to freedomslips.com. Yeah, and there's a chat button there. You go in there, and you can also listen from there. Crazy technology. Check out our website, shinysideout.net, for more information, and also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. There are heaps of ways to listen to the station as well. If you live in Kentucky in the United States of America, tune in to WZZR 101.3 FM. 101.3 FM. And if you're anywhere else in the entire world, you can listen via one of these apps: Revolution Radio, TalkStream Live, TuneIn.com, Radio Tuner, or our very, very own app that was created by Dave, the Meister, Shiny Side Out. At home, you can listen on the greatest tabletop digital radio, or if you're driving around in a GM motor vehicle, you may have a receiver-enabled radio. These are all Revolutions in radio, of course. Now, you can also buy a CD of our last year's shows, not just ours, anyone, pretty much. All the hosts, they're all great. And if you are in the United States of America, you can call in using this number, 347-688-2902. 347-688-2902. And last week and the week before, we actually took callers. So we do take callers, okay? You can get involved.
We do?
Please don't feel shy. And as soon as you come on, you're actually on the air, okay? We don't have a waiting room, okay? So as soon as you start talking to Dave or me, you're on the air. Solaris, yet again, with Dr. Sauter, I hope I pronounced that correctly, had a great show. What a shock. And David, this for us is show number 171, 170 and 100. 171 shows.
It's still crazy.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
It sure is.
Nuts.
I got nothing. No, it's show 171, and I'm loving it. And it's really odd when someone else does the promo, does the intro. And I just have to say. Do you know what, Mickey? There hasn't been a week. I think the weeks are getting harder and harder to keep on top of everything, because not only is there an avalanche of news coming at us, and it's hard to just pick like maybe the top 5 stories from the week, or it really is. How are you finding it?
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, they're both small time politically as well as scientific breakthroughs and experiments. I mean, and certainly a larger global political stuff has been happening as well. So look, it's been a roller coaster. In more way than one, for me specifically as well. Mm-hmm. On a personal front, I'll talk to you guys about that after this. But yeah, Dave, the news have been very interesting, I have to say.
Well, let me just take it from the top, right? So we've got FIFA, the organisation for soccer or football everywhere else in the world. Just Australia and the US call it soccer. What's very strange about this is the guy got voted back in and then he stepped down. But did you know, and this hasn't been on our media, but Meki, he was, and the whole group of the officials from FIFA were all taken away from their hotel rooms forcefully by the police.
Yeah, well, they're all corrupt.
They're all corrupt. Yeah, no surprise there. But what I found was really strange was that wasn't propagated in our news. Our news was, the head guy, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. But no, all of the officials were removed forcibly from the hotel they were staying in, and are now locked up in jail. They probably won't come out.
Yep.
My poor lunchroom pals. Because I talk about the topics. I don't talk about all of them. All right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sway. All I'm trying to do is just have some conversation, because I want it to be. And they don't talk about the Kardashians, but I do want it to be heavier than the Kardashians, but lighter than deep underground military bases. They're not really that kind of people. All right. So when I talk about conspiracy, it's not a theory. I leave my theories here on the show when with Mecky and we talk offline and all that. That's where we keep our theories. But if there's any fact at all, guess what? That's no longer a theory. That's a conspiracy. And that's where there's a big chasm. There's a chasm with people that think anything to do with a conspiracy is purely left to the experts who can sort that out, because they'll sort it out, right? Wrong. They'll keep that underneath the carpet until someone else finds out. And guess who those people are that find out? The conspiracy investigators. They're the people who find out. Hey,
Tiger.
So this is what I've hoped to have been able to talk about with my workmates. So that, hey, and for everyone, I'm using a pencil to write. I'm not typing in a Word document anymore. I'm using a pencil so it doesn't come through the audio. And I hope everyone also respects the... And I'm sorry to everyone else who has complained about it this week, that the last few shows had a very strange audio effect in the YouTube. So pardon me. Comments below if you like this one, if it sounds great. Because it took me a long time. I spent hours and hours and hours on this, and I found what the problem was, and it's all fixed now. So yay! All right. So Mecky, the FIFA things. If I had have said, "Oh, that FIFA's a bunch of criminals, allegedly," bribing everyone and whoever can give them the biggest paper bag outside their hotel room with the largest amount of money in it, will get the World Cup for that year. You would have said, you would have said, do you have any evidence to back that up? Right? But other people would say, oh, you're just talking silly talk. That's just, what kind of crazy conspiracy theorist are you?
Never happens.
And like drugs in sport and Lance Armstrong.
That never happened.
Yeah, it never happened.
It's a rumor, is what it is.
So at match fixing, I say it again, a world of sport. People bet on sport, and match fixing, well, they bet on their own sport. That's why they match fix, and because there's a big paycheck for them. But I'll tell you that mentioning that before it became mainstream media labelled me a crackpot. There's no such thing. What are you talking about? Drugs in sport? No, it's clean. And suddenly, it's not. It so isn't. So this is where and now everyone is sniffing around the heels of all of the government, all the people in power. Because if these people were in power and had that kind of power and being influenced by the governments and being paid by the governments to get that roadshow of soccer into their country, Mecky, it's not just illegal to receive a bribe. It's illegal to pay a bribe.
What a shock.
So,
whoa. So, no, actually, that's not a good example. I was going to say, so it's illegal to murder someone, and it's also illegal to be murdered.
I failed to make that connection.
It takes two to murder, yeah?
Yeah, you have to murder something. Not like that guy who murdered his invisible best friend. His imaginary friend.
That was the best.
I told my lunchmates that, and they just thought that was hilarious. But I didn't tell them that until that was the end of the story. So I let them think about this thing and how terrible it was. Anyway, all I can say is all of the countries who have hosted it or have been accepted are no doubt themselves guilty of paying bribes. If that's the way they ran, then this guy's been in it for how many years? 20 years?
Many years. Look, guys, Dave, this is how it is. This is the reality.
All right. Hook me up on the reality.
I'll tell you what. Now, we all talk about, how we should do things and could do things and how we should be good people.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Blah, 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 right? So what that really means is everybody's doing it, okay? Bribing and corruption and all of stuff is all around us all of the time.
No.
All of the time.
No.
It's only when... This stuff only comes out, and I want you to think about this, Dave, as well. It only comes out when there's an agenda. Okay? There's an agenda, and because this happens all the time. It's not like it happened yesterday, all of a sudden, oh no, it happened.
But the word conspiracy and bribery, wasn't it just invented yesterday, Mickey? Wasn't it?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just found it in the dictionary.
I've got my dictionary is on a soft version, and it was just updated yesterday. I wonder what words have been updated on that. Oh, look, it's conspiracy and bribery. Look at that.
Didn't exist before. You have to ask yourself why the stuff is coming out, right? I mean, it's one thing that the fact has now been reported, and there are consequences. Of course, there are consequences, but why? Why? So, and I don't know yet.
Who are they really after?
Sorry.
Who are they really after?
Yeah, who are they really after? Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't give a hoot about soccer. That's just me, right?
Yeah. I've got to ask the other question, Mickey. There's two questions here, right? And that is, they're guilty. Great. Good for them for getting away with it for so long. Whatever the money is they took, they'll never pay it back. Well, I think the person pursuing it paid the money and they never got it. They never got approval and have gone, well, I know it's going to do me in, but I'll do them in. That's what's going to happen. Mickey, the previous state leader, I forget the guy, in New South Wales, in our state, that guy was actually set up with that bottle of Grange or whatever it was. He was set up by the very guy that is now a lobbyist. He was actually the guy who had pitched a mine, it was refused, and they went, right, you don't refuse something that I'm pitching. So they pulled out of their drawer, blew the dust off this thing and went, what have we got on him? Oh, that's right, that bottle. We'll just declare that he's received something without nominating that he'd received it. They got him on it. So I think maybe very similarly to that is that whoever paid lots and lots of money to FIFA didn't get the World Cup, and they're spewing. Sorry, that's an Australian term for being upset about it. Maybe they're livid. They're so livid that they decided to risk getting themselves in jail for contributing a bribe, just so they can turn the whole money.
What do you reckon?
It's a hunch. It's a hunch.
Oh, look! I wouldn't. It's certainly possible. Absolutely. I mean, don't forget, this is big money. Hosting a cup and the advertising revenues. It's the biggest event. The World Cup soccer I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
It's the biggest event in the world, TV wise. More spectators, in fact, visitors even, than the Olympic Games. Okay. Bigger than the Olympic Games. So we're talking about real interests at play here, right? Real cash, real wealth, real power. So, look, I don't know at this point, but I'll go with what you said. I think that's as good a theory as any.
Well, this week we saw the death of one of the big guys that got done in the 90s, 80s, 90s? Alan Bond.
Alan Bond, yeah, he passed, yeah.
Yeah. He had a controversial existence, and he was brought down by the very person who he'd stepped on.
Yep.
That was the
only thing that had ever happened. Who doubted the background to his wealth, whether he was successful enough to be able to keep rolling along.
And
his entire wealth was built on loans. And his quote, Mickey, was this is Alan Bond's quote, and everyone out there think about how this applies. And this is what hit me this week when I was doing research on Alan Bond. He said, by the way, and hi Colombo in the chat room. He said, he didn't say hi Columbo in the chat room. He said, if you owe a bank $30,000,
that's your problem.
That's your problem.
Mm-hmm. But if you owe a bank,
hundreds of millions of dollars, it's their problem.
And that's the quote. That's the
take home for his existence.
He's right.
On the planet.
Correct. That's exactly right. I mean, think about that, guys. It's a fact. I mean, the higher your debt, the better for you. Because the bank will do whatever it can to make sure that you can service that loan.
That's right.
Because otherwise it's net loss they have to write off. Nobody wants to do that.
but they'll hound you for $1,000.
But they'll hound you for $1,000 outstanding bill on a credit card like there's no tomorrow.
$27. Try $27. They can't look. I'll tell you the story. It's no big deal. Right? I got a corporate credit card.
Yeah,
and I use it for my travel and then blah 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 whatever, and there's a pay cycle that our company goes through, so it's paid I don't know once a month or once every 6 weeks, whatever it might be. So my card was overdue by $27 Australian. 27, it's like $22 American, right? Anyway, $27.
Yeah.
And they canceled my card. They I needed to buy an airline ticket, right? So couldn't do that. Boom, too bad for you. And I said I owe $27. Are you serious? Yeah, it's you're 6 weeks overdue, but this is the pay cycle in my account, blah, blah, whatever. Long story short, too bad I had to use my own credit card to buy the airline ticket. And this is the insanity of it. These $27, if I hadn't then paid them out of my own pocket, right, because I had no idea it was outstanding, would have occasioned them to send a debt collector after me for $27. The wheels are in motion. Oh, really? Okay.
And it's because that
you're liable for your company credit card's expenses. But who makes the payments?
Well, I make the payment. Well, sorry, I claim it, and they make the payment on my behalf.
That's right.
That's right. So the accounts department is the one who's meant to pay it on time.
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah.
Because we actually offshored that. Yay!
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
I'm doing great.
How you doing? Doing great.
Yes.
Is it done? Yes.
Yeah, that's
done.
What it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
When do you think you can send me the emails?
When do you think you can send me the emails?
I love that story.
Building.
I love that story.
I love that story. When was that? A couple of days ago.
So yeah. Anyway, look the other one.
So yeah. Anyway, look the other one.
In our promo, and I want everyone to remember
in our promo, and I want everyone to remember this. In our promo,
and it's even me saying it.
Fantastic discoveries in science, and I don't falter when I say it in a promo.
There was this week.
This week we saw
a fantastic discovery in science.
Mickey,
can you guess what it is?
Mickey, can you guess what it is?
I cannot guess.
Just
tell me.
Tell me.
Tell me.
A rat arm.
A rat
forearm, to be more
precise, was grown in a petri dish from a single cell.
A fully functioning
rat arm
with hand and
skin and muscle tissue, bone, everything. Everything was grown
from a single cell.
They
just kept
They just didn't say what kind of cell it was that started it? Was it like a stem cell or any old cell?
I believe it was a normal
cell. I believe it was a normal cell modified to be a stem cell. You have to actually take an existing piece of tissue and then grow from that because it knows its place in the body and it will continue to grow. And the story is from New Scientist.
So
newscientist.com. Go there and have a look. I think you'll really be impressed by it. And where this, obviously, this takes us to a whole new level. You may be able to grow your own arm back on you, or it would be then grown from a piece of tissue and then surgically reattached.
I think that the former would be the best idea.
The latter would require, effort.
Whereas just like a
crab limb or the tail of a lizard, we should have them made so they grow back. Maybe you've got to drink some solution or dunk it in some kind of growth liquid or something. But that's pretty much the way it's been foreseen. And now we're stepping into God.
Isn't that cool? Like, did Monty Python sketch now becomes truth. So the tiger got away with your leg. Yeah, but it's going to grow back, right? yes, of course.
It grew back.
Clearly.
It grew back.
That would be incredible, though, if you think about it. Because what that means is as far as we're concerned, it's practical immortality, right? I mean, if you die if someone shoots you in the head, you'll still die, but you won't die of organ failure or even aging anymore. Because what is aging but the using up of cells? If you can grow new cells, if your telomeres, in fact, if your cells can be replaced with new cells that have long telomeres, sweet, you can live for a very long time indeed. It's scary and interesting.
Well, it also
pays credence to all of the glyphs that you see in Egypt, where they're transposing animal heads and doing surgery, which isn't mainstream. You won't find this everywhere, but if you look in the right spot, you'll find these depictions.
What do they know, Meki?
What do they know, Meki? What did they know? What do they know that we don't know?
A lot?
I think a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
absolutely.
The other thing, there was two other points.
There was two other points that I had, and one was Jade Helm 15.
And I said a whole bunch of stuff to
I said a whole bunch of stuff to Meki, and in the end of all of that that I'd sent him,
pretty much
Jade Helm exists as this. Joint assisted
execution
for development, execution, dissident extraction.
Exercise.
And
15 stands for the year.
And 15 stands for the year.
So that's what it is. Don't be too surprised.
So that's what it is. Don't be too surprised.
I'm
sort of concerned
with the way Texas is
acting. I think we're only ever going to know what's really going on. What's going on is going on.
There is a lot of guessing happening.
And
I think
the unknown is making them laugh at everyone's silly guesses.
You know what I mean, Meki?
You know what I mean, Meki? If they can perpetuate something that makes people question it, and they go, oh, they're way off.
Don't you think that just makes them really
laugh at you?
Yeah.
So,
look,
yeah.
Instead of all the conjecture,
maybe just wait to see what happens, but be prepared for things in case it went the wrong way.
One of the things that
I'd been looking at was this joining together of September this year. It's another one. That's the last point. I should say, backing up the Jade Helm is military vehicles like the Dickens being shipped all over the US.
Like you've never seen.
You've never seen. I've seen military shipments going everywhere, left, right, and centre. But these are just off the freeway, on trains,
military convoys.
Military convoys. And we're talking. There's got to be thousands, maybe 10, 15,000 Humvees alone.
What on earth are they planning?
You need the Humvees.
What are they planning for?
Well, what are they planning for?
What?
Right?
Yeah. So the
conversation at the moment is going around it being
an exercise, a joint
exercise with the military and the police, and the conversation is that to instigate martial law or to practice for martial law. But thinking about where it's being placed, it doesn't seem like it's being run around Yellowstone.
Maybe this is the
big roundup practice for when Yellowstone pops.
It's the big practice.
Maybe it's the big practice to see how quickly they can get
law and order.
I'm just being silly, but his conversations on it. If Obama declares that he's truly gay and his wife is a man.
I'm not
maybe I'm not making it up. Their conversations
maybe
it's China
has decided
to invade, and I've been looking at a lot of US military planes flying around the South China Sea and posting some pretty cool stuff on that
There's a lot going
this
on.
week. So there's a lot going on.
It's honestly
it's over the
and
top.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
Lucky, Mickey, I have to say.
I don't know. Lucky, Mickey, I have to say. Lucky we're this far away.
I wouldn't want to be there for it.
I wouldn't want to be there for it.
Sorry,
sorry, whoever has to live through it.
We've spoken about this before, and I believe for various reasons, including the way that the wind works and the atmosphere carries stuff around. While we would still get the fallout, we would still be affected. Yes, however, we would not be as badly affected as the northern hemisphere. And I think many of the, I guess, infrastructure programs you see here, and the building up of shopping centers and also dwellings, if you will, housing and so forth that's being built, I think is built in anticipation of a large influx of refugees, quite potentially. Because let's face it, we've got the population of Greater New York living in a land that is the size of both China and the continental United States. Okay, so and that's quite significant, and we're not all desert. I mean, there's hundreds of kilometers around the coast of quite fertile strips that can be inhabited. And if you come up from Adelaide, for example, I talked about that with a friend the other day. Flying to Sydney or Melbourne, for that matter, you see for hours greenery as you fly across the Australian continent there. So there's definitely space potentially for that.
Oh, yeah, rightly so.
Rightly so.
Although, do you want to cut all those trees down?
Do you want to cut all those trees down?
My point
is that whatever's going on, and like just to reiterate that Australia and I think it's Argentina, is it? And another place as well, which have all signed up to take the refugees from the US should Yellowstone go.
But I agree with Mickey.
I agree with Mickey. All of the projects to expand each one of our infrastructure corridors is all underway, and it looks like it's being fast-tracked because they're trying to sell off assets as quickly as possible, pay for these things, rather than just sit it out and wait until they had money.
So that
makes sense.
Worries me as well.
So that worries me as well. Like, what is there? Because honestly, they wouldn't tell us if there was something going on.
The other component of
the other component of all my week's viewing was the September issue. So the impending possible impact of a large object or many objects. Or dirty space, or something like that. The people who are maybe physics-minded were leaning towards it being a terrestrial impact or an extraterrestrial impact.
The prophecy people,
the biblical-sided people, are all suggesting quite possibly that they are
that the sixth seal will be opened.
That the sixth seal will be opened.
Will come down,
that aliens will come down, start to take people,
save us, to take us somewhere else.
Save us to take us somewhere else, and that's the prophecy side, Mickey.
After that's already begun, they're going to suggest that that wasn't the bad side.
That was the bad side taking people. Now the good guys are going to come and take people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just look at all this info and say,
I just look at all this info and say, well, okay, well, I don't know what basket to put it in. We have to go to wait and see. It's sort of like the 13th, the Blacktoons.
Everyone said it was
crazy.
Everyone said it was the end. It's crazy when it dawned. Everyone thought that it was the end of the world. And Mickey and I, we stayed. Yeah, clearly not. Mickey and I stayed on the side of rational thinking on that one. And
I had to say I had a swear jar.
I had to say I had a swear jar. I was putting coins in it.
I was really
worried that it wasn't going to be.
I think they had us
for a line.
The heavy mass object.
On that one. The heavy mass object. We saw that come and go.
But there's a lot of information, and I
know that 2023 is when DA14 comes back.
Now, on that, and thank you, this is a fantastic segue. In fact, unless you've got more?
I'm waiting for you.
Great, because this is a really good segue. Now, all the things that are meant to have happened didn't come to pass. The heavy mass object, Nibiru and other things as well. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is this: recently, and I mean just really recently, a new experiment was conducted, right, at the Australian National University here in Australia, and this is around quantum physics yet again. Okay, now they recreated the John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, and confirmed that reality doesn't exist until it is measured, at least on an atomic scale. Okay, so what is this? So what happened? Let me tell you. So some particles, photons, electrons, they can be both particles and waves, We've spoken about the double slit experiment, right? This is right along those lines. Now here comes the question as to what exactly makes a photon or electron act either as a particle or a wave, because it can't be both at the same time, or can it? Right? And this is what Wheeler's experiment asks as well. At what point does an object decide what it is, particle or wave? The results of the Australian scientists' experiment, which were published in the journal Nature Physics, so this is a proper science journal, if you will, show that this choice is determined by the way the object is measured, okay, which is in accordance with what quantum theory predicts. Okay, it proves, and this is according to the lead researcher, Dr. Andrew Truscott, he says it proves that measurement is everything. At a quantum level, reality does not exist if you're not looking at it. Now, I would like to say that's actually not true. Okay, sorry, Dr. Truscott. I think reality is everything, unless you look at it. Okay, as soon as you look at it, it collapses into what we perceive as reality. Now, the original version of John Wheeler's experiment was proposed in 1978 and involved light beams being bounced by mirrors. However, it was difficult to implement that and get any conclusive results because, we weren't really that high tech back then. Now, however, it has become possible to successfully recreate the experiment by using helium atoms scattered by laser light. Dr. Truscott's team forced 100 helium atoms into a state of matter called Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, it's state of matter Bose-Einstein condensate. Look it up. After this, they ejected all the atoms until there was only one left. Then the researchers used a pair of laser beams to create a grating pattern, which would scatter an atom passing through, as though a solid light as though a solid grating was scattering light. Same concept. Thus, the atom would either act as a particle or pass through one arm, right, or be a wave and pass through both arms. Thanks to or rather a random number generator, a second grating was then randomly added in order to recombine the paths. This was done only after the atom had already passed the first gate. Okay, second grating comes in after the atom has passed the first gate, already decided what it was going to do. As a result, the addition of the second grating caused interference in the measurement, showing that the atom had traveled both paths, thus behaving like a wave. At the same time, when the second grating was not added, there was no interference, and the atom appeared to have traveled only one path. So, these are the results and the interpretation. As the second grating was added only after the atom had passed through the first one, it would be reasonable to suggest that the atom hadn't yet decided whether it was a particle or a wave before the second measurement. According to Dr. Truscott, there may be two possible interpretations of these results. Either the atom decided how to behave based on the measurement, or a future measurement affected the photon's past. Okay, the atoms did not travel from A to B. It was only when they were measured at the end of the journey that their wave-like or particle-like behavior was brought into existence. Thus, this experiment adds to the validity of the quantum theory and provides new evidence to the idea that reality doesn't exist without an observer. Perhaps further research, can shed more light onto this. And Niels Bohr famously said, "If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet." So, just to be very clear here, guys, right?
I love that. That's a good
I love that. That's a good quote.
Right, it's pretty cool. All of the things that Dave has just mentioned that didn't come to pass may very well have come to pass in another reality framework. Again, we're talking about the multiverse here, right? And we are just being nudged from track to track to avoid these disasters. Maybe there's a massive quantum generator or quantum engine that shifts the Earth from one reality to another, right? So from one collision, in one reality we are colliding with an asteroid, and then we are shifted out so it just passes us. Like the HMO didn't hit us, for example, right? Or maybe we're being shifted lock, stock and barrel into a reality where Yellowstone doesn't blow up. I don't know. But the point is, reality does not exist as we understand it to exist. Consensus reality truly is exactly that. We determine what reality is. And that's a little scary if you think about it, right? And that's why we're all being brainwashed all the time to believing what we're believing. Right? What better way to keep things the way they are, but by making people exactly do what you want them to do and think the way you want them to do.
If only I had some.
country's anthem playing behind that, Mickey. That was great.
Yeah, it is true. I might put that in post.
Yeah, it is true. I might put it in post.
As I understand what he was saying, it was only after it went through and decided.
It went through and decided. But that means it it
and that means
thinks, and that means that it is able to determine what's going to happen in advance.
Yeah. Because it was able to affect itself.
Because it was able to affect itself in arrears.
I know, and that's the crazy thing. So obviously, time, as we understand it, doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. No.
It doesn't exist. No. And it's fundamentally affecting our current
here and now.
The current here and now.
Because if we're only living,
if we're only thinking about the current now, and I think that's great. So look, I was going to suggest there was something else in there. There was a couple of things going through the chat. Just welcome to everyone in the chat today. Thank you so much. It's pretty full, and there's a lot of stuff going on. High KC and Earthplay and Sasquatch as well as Columbo and RD47.
I couldn't believe, Mickey.
I couldn't believe, Mickey. I just have to say, I couldn't believe that the
conversation that I was hearing
about it being the atonement, the blood moon, the sixth seal, alien ships coming down and taking people to a new world, and then in the media, how many examples of September 23 and 24 and 22, those 3 days, have been in some 20 movies all about our future, and that's the day that it all happens on.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Did you know that?
And this is the day that
everyone's now focused on, or this range of 3 days. I think it would be one or two of them. It would be the 23 or 24 because it's 24th here if it's 23 in the US.
And the 23rd,
and the 23rd, I think, is the last of the blood moons or something like that. So.
Perfect.
People are focusing.
People are focusing. They are focusing on these dates, and there's a lot of conversation about it. So do your research. And the only other thing that I was doing this whole week was looking at the Sandy Hook
Freedom of Information,
not trial, but the in front of a judge to determine whether or not the Freedom of Information had supplied the correct documents to them. That's the Halib
case.
Case.
It looks as though
the
school might not have been open.
The school might not have been open during the entire thing.
And one thing that I thought was really interesting
was the other take home was that there are almost no records of anything anywhere, and the only things that they could get was the first call to the police was an unknown person on school grounds, and 22 squad cars arrived as a result of an unknown person.
So,
interesting.
To think about that.
So, you call the police for, I think there's someone at my house, they'll go, well, we can't do anything, sorry about that.
Not until they've killed you will we come, but we will solve your murder for sure.
Have they done a crime?
Yeah.
Well,
have they done a crime? Well, they're committing a crime. They're on a block of land. It doesn't matter. And the other thing about it was
teachers all over
the place. Same teacher was either not found or renamed. And there was really interesting, and the other really cool one.
I had it. Never mind.
I had it.
It doesn't matter.
Never mind.
Look it up.
It doesn't matter.
Look
it up yourself. Try and discover more about it yourself. And I think this guy is doing a pretty good job of trying to get to the bottom of why.
Oh yeah.
I think they've already sort of.
I think they've already sort of done discovering that there was no work orders for maintenance at the building
for 2 months leading up
to it. So it had already been closed for at least 2 months. There was mold on the walls.
Yeah. When someone was asked
when they wanted to find out where the cleanup crew, what company they used for the cleanup crew to clean up the blood, they said, what blood?
There's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch
there, and I think they just got caught out and they just shut a case on it. And that's pretty much it.
Whoever
wants to plan the next one, do a better job.
Yeah. No, because
there'll be another one. That's not the last.
Because there'll be another one. That's not the last one, is it?
I mean, we can spend our time more productively, I'm sure. On that, thank you for the segue, by the way. I have now gone ahead, and Dave knows this. I have started a Facebook page. Anybody who's interested in the chat is welcome. You don't have to be Australian to be interested, but I've created a Facebook page called Let's Fix Australia. Now,
yes.
The manifesto I'm going to publish there within the next few weeks can be applied to pretty much any country in the world. And in it, I will outline how I would fix Australia, or how we, hopefully as a party that will spring from this, will fix Australia. Fairly detailed policies, not just castle in the sky kind of stuff, but concrete things. How is it funded? What are the consequences? What do we need to do? A lot of it will be painful. Okay, it'll be painful and it won't be easy, but come and join the Facebook page if you want. It's called Let's Fix Australia. Like I said, it can also be applied to your country, wherever you're listening from. And the document will be published in the next few weeks. But you come along and register your interest. Dave, that I actually have a guy working for me in my team that has connections to Tony Blair's political advisor.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Exactly.
Cool.
And I know.
That's pretty cool.
And so he's very interested. For example, this one person to see what we can do. So it's amazing. Once you, it's serendipity in a way. I guess once you start the ball rolling, things are sort of snowballing. Thanks, Columbo. I will call it a deck doctrine. I'll call it my thesis. It's not a manifesto. I'm not the Unabomber. Okay, that's fair enough. I do appreciate the advice, though. Thank you.
Meki, I
think what you should, if you could concentrate on making it so that the things that are in the doctrine. I'll choose doctrine.
The things that are in the doctrine could be applied.
The things that are in the doctrine could be applied to anywhere. That it is more a universal
fixing Australia is great,
because fixing Australia is great, and I think it needs to be done, and I think all the countries need to fix their own problems. But I think maybe we're going to see a huge shake-up on this planet as a result of all of the stuff that's going on. And I think that the people lined up ready to act once it's fixed or on its way to being fixed, where people decide they don't want to look at the autocracy anymore and believe that that's what
the system is not about it.
The system is not about it.
Inviting someone in, and then
inviting someone in, and then they can do whatever they want.
You're right.
The people.
They're supposed to represent the people. That's what it's all about.
Democracy is.
That's what a democracy is. Everyone has a voice.
Right. And in fact, we no longer have democracies. They're usually representative democracies, republics. Corporate fascism is mostly what we're facing these days. But you're right, Dave. There are a few fundamental underlying themes in this doctrine which will deal with what can be fixed everywhere, because all countries are facing the same issues. They're going to be very specific Australia-related solutions to very specific Australia-related problems. But the foundation of the thesis or doctrine are going to be applicable to pretty much any country in the world. And fundamentally it is this. Very, very, very simply, very easy to understand. We need to take back the power. We have to get into a position yet again, and you know what? This time technology is actually on our side. Technology is our friend, because we are living in an age where direct participation in any democratic process is a reality. Instantaneous participation is a reality. Okay. In the olden days, you couldn't do that. You had to carry a pigeon, you had to ride horses, even the mail, snail mail. Writing letters, posting votes, blah 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 blah. These days, I'm talking about the first world, but again, technology will move on. There's nothing you can do about it. And if the awareness cascade doesn't happen, we'll move on and we'll become more technologically fixated. But as long as it's the right way, we are all instantaneously connected to each other at this point in time, right now. I'm talking to you guys out there in the world. You could be sitting in Brazil, in the Arctic Circle. You could be in Germany, in America. You could be in Africa, in Asia. It doesn't really matter where you are. You're listening to me right now, real time. Okay? And my device, which I hold here, is like just a regular smartphone, that can connect me into this chat as well, and listening to this, and I can interact. So imagine the power that we have at our disposal to enact true democracy. The people actually taking a vote on everything. Right? Now, that might not always be practical, but at least we have the means to do that now. Didn't have it before, have it now. and it's just gonna snowball more and more, and we'll be more connected and more interlinked as we go forward. I guarantee it. Just make sure we use it for the right things.
In our country,
we're able to go to a referendum. But that costs a lot of money to make happen, and it's an inconvenience for everyone. It's just a terrible experience, and it has to all be done at the same place we do voting.
It's awful.
And it's awful. It's awful. And it's got to be worded in such a way not to trick or fool the people into voting one way or the other. It's meant to be fair. It's never fair, and I feel for the people who have an issue with reading a complicated sentence, because the GST was a complicated sentence, and it didn't say, "Do you want the GST? Yes or no?"
No.
It didn't say that. It was at
least a line and a half of gibberish to most people, and they just went, "Oh, I think I want this." Yes.
Is that what I don't even know how I'm.
Is that what I'm? I don't even know how I'm answering this by an affirmative. Am I supporting it or not supporting it by an affirmative? Because it was complicated.
We do have that instant gratification.
We do have that instant gratification. We have the ability to do an online vote, as long as that is done like the lotto is done, with overseers and people who are in trusted positions, who have power, have teeth. Those kind of things are very important, and I agree with you. I don't think there should be anything that isn't taken to people, unless even if it was the people shouldn't decide on a call to war. I don't think, but.
I think the evidence
shouldn't be mass media driven.
I agree.
About whether war should be or
shouldn't be there.
These are really tough. They're all tough issues.
These are really tough. They're all tough issues. I know that we've seen it, and we're the little America's little brother.
They may not agree to that.
While they may not agree to that or not, but that's the way it is here. That's the sentiment. That's how we feel.
We've followed you guys.
And we've followed you guys into whatever's happened, and I'm not going to say rightly or wrongly, mostly wrongly, because we were already in all the other conflicts, but all the more recent ones have all been possibly incorrect.
The intelligence was driven there for a
different agenda. If they were public and it was okay, and I don't want to mean public. I mean, if the intelligence was real, we want to go there to protect the oil interests.
Go there on your own.
Well, then go there on your own and protect your own oil interests. Thank you very much.
If
they declared the people who we'd already employed.
Taliban.
That's the Taliban. If they were still on our side, for some reason we've decided they're not,
and you want to take back ownership of that stuff, then fine.
Mecky, the 2,500 Humvees that the Iraqi army just left behind for ISIS to take
really worried me.
It worried me because that's giving them something.
That is
not just Humvees.
That isn't. Hang on. What? Did I leave the keys there?
Oops.
Oops.
I think I've done it. I think I've
got it wrong again.
And sorry about the English
I don't know, and sorry about the English accent to all those people from England. All I'm saying is.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the biggest issue.
That is the biggest issue.
That was just simply reported as.
The Iraqi army fled when ISIS encroached, leaving behind all of the stuff that they had. And then when you started to look through the list of what it was that they left behind, that's just a gift.
Instead of staying and fighting till the
bitter end, no, they didn't. If they had done that, imagine this, Mecca, they gave that call to the US. We're being overrun, we need your backup.
If it was real.
What's at stake? If it was real.
2,500 Humvees.
2,500 Humvees, 40 helicopters, gunships with, ammunition and weapons and everything. You name it. They've got it. That's what it's at stake. Can't you move it? No, can't move it. All right, we're sending inbound right now. What's your position? That's what the conversation should have been. But
I think it was just simply a gift.
I think it was just simply a gift. They may as well have Trojan horsed, wheeled it out to them and said, "Look, there you go. We'll just be at home."
I think that's the way.
I think that's the way it went down.
So a gift to ISIS.
So a gift to ISIS.
Fabricated?
And is ISIS fabricated? Well, I actually happen to believe that it is.
It does exist, though.
I believe it's real. That it's doing stuff, but I believe that the ISIS itself has been created. I'm not asking you for a real answer on this. This is a fictitious scenario. But if someone from overseas came to this country and started a militia,
why would you join it?
Why would you join it?
It's someone else's problem.
It's someone else's problem.
Quite right.
Isn't it led by an English man?
Isn't it led by an English man?
The guy running it has an English accent.
The guy running it has an English accent.
Well, he studied it. Look, let's understand something. The people in charge of ISIS, right, or the people that are perceived to be in charge, are highly educated people. Mm-hmm. That's how they draw highly educated people to themselves, right? They've got excellent arguments. They've got, the propaganda is fantastic. You can't actually compete with that propaganda machine. There's something like 100,000 tweets a day.
Wow.
Coming out of ISIS. 100,000 tweets, yeah, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Not just not just Twitter, they go elsewhere as well. So these are highly educated people, usually in the West, or usually coming from money. And I think, Dave, you're 100% correct. I think ISIS was created in the same way that the West created the Taliban and the Mujahideen movement. I guess, sorry, not created, but certainly supported it. Against the Russians back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what we're having here, we've got a whole bunch of fighters that have been fighting for the better part of 20, almost 30 years now.
Yep.
It started with Gulf War I, then the Balkan conflict, Chechnya, then the Gulf War II, and then all the other wars that have been happening since, usually involving conflict between Muslims and Christians. And now these are all pretty much condensed in Syria, in the ISIS movement. Tens of thousands of fighters who've had decades of experience fighting. I think you're right. They were brought together for a purpose, right? America needs a good, strong enemy. The rest of the world needs someone to focus on. They can, hate. Not only that, though. There's a very strong faction within the United States that is trying to bring about the end of the world, the second coming of Christ. And this has to be occasioned by a war in Israel, right? So the battle has to be fought
to fulfill all the prophecies.
In Megiddo,
and we know when that is.
And we know when it is. That's the second blood moon, or the second round of blood moons. I know when it is.
That's right. So all of these things are I'm not saying they're going to happen. Again, the future is not predetermined, guys. This is what quantum physics tells us. In fact, it's up to us what the future is. It's up to us what present reality is. We're like flies in amber. We're caught in a moment of time which we call the now, and we can't move beyond that, at least not in our physical form. Right? And this is really the problem. So, I think it's Zipless404 is asking a question about the word ISIS. Yes, it's possible that it's... ISIS is actually Egyptian, ancient Egyptian, but...
It's actually called
back to ancient.
It's actually called Daesh.
Yeah, it's going back to that's right. It's going back to Babylonian times. Right, ISIS and so forth, in fact, Easter is based on ISIS. The word itself.
Wow.
What we've spoken about that in another show. Yeah.
I want my chicken.
I want my chicken. My Easter chicken.
Yeah, that's right. Having said all that, Zipless404. Yes, there's a connection there. I think there was deliberately chosen this word ISIS. And I'll give you some more information in the next show if you're listening on that, if you like. But none of these things that are happening, none of the names we're dealing with are coincidence. The symbolism we're dealing with is very deliberate on every side. Okay, there's no such thing as a hasty word or an accidental uttering or naming something that isn't meaningful. That's very, very important. Okay, these things are very, very important.
You need to brand something really well.
Shiny
there you go. That's the one. We're coming at the end of the first hour, guys. So if you can donate, there's a donate button to the left in the chat room, upper left corner. If you can give money, that'd be great. This show is run by Nighthawk and the crew entirely on donations from you guys. If you like what you're hearing, okay. Anything that you hear here is our. Okay, copyright, Dave and me, if you will. Nighthawk and the others might not agree with us. And in fact, some of the stuff we bring you is just coming from the net, and we just share it out with you, right? So we are the fringe of the fringe. The Chinese are out. The fringe of the fringe. We are the fringe dwellers. We are the guys that the Yeti guys laugh at.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Mackie, I just wanted to say, I think it was Earthplay put into the chat room. He said the Earth is square. And I replied back that I was tired of the flat and the round Earth.
I'll accept a cubed
a cubed Earth. Why not?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
It's probably not, but I'm with you. So.
Didn't Becky that flat Earth comment that we made actually had a full 2-week run on Freedom Slips with a whole bunch of arguments back and forth, and everyone got so tired. Yeah, absolutely. So everyone got so tired of hearing the word term flat Earth that was the end of it.
Never mind.
Never mind. I'm not even going to quantify it. So,
as Becky said, we're right at the top of the hour.
As Becky said, we're right at the top of the hour. We're going to see you on the other side of the break, but we would like you to push the donate button.
I really recommend that you do it.
And I really recommend that you do it. You go into the chat room. If you go in the chat room, you can talk to us while we're on air. It's really cool.
Hit the donate button. It's right there.
Hit the donate button. It's right there. You can choose a single payment, or if you wanted to do multiple. I think I donated $30 to $40 last week. During the night, Mickey, at our time.
I like the show I was listening, so I
donated. I like the show I was listening, so I donated.
Nice.
You can do the same thing.
You can do the same thing, everyone.
When you do
that, it goes towards all of the expensive links and everything that the servers and the hosted services out on the net that bring you everything that you're hearing.
Through whichever medium,
whether it's TalkStream Live, hang on, we've got to get them all again. TuneIn.com, Radio Tuner, or through our own app. Each of those are coming through Inflated Earth. I love it.
Yeah, each of those are coming through different servers.
Yeah, each of those are coming through different servers, different services, and they all require payment. So
we know where
it's appreciated. We know where we're at. Today we're cruising around about 5th on TalkStream Live. So I recommend what you should do is
get yourself an
get yourself an app, and so you can listen to this on the road while you're traveling. That's what I do.
And there's no top of the break. Where's the break?
Oh, look, I'm happy to keep going unless it's late.
There it is.
Don't go away, guys.
I feel like a magician after having that.
Happen.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
On the go? Still want to listen? Don't have one of those fancy phones with too many buttons? Don't know what an app is? Or you don't even care? Well, we got you here at Revolution Radio. Now you can dial in 24/7 to listen to our shows. We have a number for Studio A and Studio B, and best of all, it's free. Don't forget, carrier charges for your cell phone provider may apply though, so check with your cell provider to make sure. So ready? Here you go. Get a pen. Here's the number. Studio A is 712-432-6958, and Studio B is 716-748-0112. Thank you very much for listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station in the world. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
You're back with David Mackey's Shiny Side Out.
You're back with David Mackey's Shiny Side Out on freedomslips.com. That's right, as Hawk said, the #1 listener-supported talk radio in the world.
I'd even go so far as to say to extend that to just our solar system. Since it is listener-funded, that's a big call. Listener-funded radio. And if you like what you hear, please go to freedomslips.com and put a donate button on the site support page. It's on the left in the chat, like I mentioned before the break. Your donation is greatly appreciated and helps run this station. And like I said, this week I donated $40. So, if I can do it, and I put the time in. If you like what you hear, go and do the same thing, please. I'd also like to say hello to
all the new listeners. Mackie, we got like something like 20 new subscribers on YouTube too, which is awesome. Comment below.
And like the videos.
And like the videos. Share them. Share if you like the stuff we talk about. You should share them with your friends too.
And it's a plug for the station.
And it's a plug for the station because we do a couple of station break what's it called?
We talk about a station on here.
We talk about a station on here. It's in the video. I got a mental blank. And we're also glad you're on board, all the new people, and I'm glad I got to all the emails that I received this week. So thank you to all of you. And I met some new people too, Mackie, this week.
Johnny in London. We talked
just before the show.
Thanks so much.
Shout out to you. Thanks so much. And
we're
halfway through show 171. And we've talked about all the topical stuff, but we're going to get to the meaty bits. We decided to do Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, look, last week we talked a bit about the debunkers and the stratagems, on how to discredit us. And when I say us, I mean all of you guys as well out there. Mm-hmm. Clearly you have an interest in these subjects. That's why you're listening to this show and to the station in general. And this week we thought it might be a good idea just to look at some more unsolved mysteries. There's a lot of stuff in here in this week's, in fact next week's show, because it's just too much material that we haven't talked about before. and some of the stuff I didn't know about, which I find fascinating. I always love it when I come across stuff I don't know, right? But there are also some stalwarts, some old faithfuls, if you will. One of Dave's favorites is here, one of my favorites. So I think it's something for everyone. So let's get into this. So these unsolved mysteries from ancient times and maybe not so ancient times, who knows, right? Now, in our mind, tourists, go to famous landmarks and spooky destinations every year, right? And we're hoping for deeper insight into mysterious structures, and what happened, in that vicinity thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Sometimes though, and this is part of the collection we're presenting here today, strange things can happen to ordinary people in their own home, right? Or in their own town, or in their own country, or in their own county, or whatever it might be. And this includes the story we shared with you, I think 3 or 4 shows ago, around a person that I know and the solid light that they experienced in their room. In fact, we have solid light here as one of the mysteries, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Awesome.
Awesome. Right? Especially when there's no logical explanation. These things happen and there's no logical explanation. Especially when it happens to you in your hometown, you're probably more taken aback than you would be if you had traveled 1,000 miles. And not only that, over the last few hundred years, many perplexing artifacts have been unearthed, right? Especially in the 19th century. Right, and they don't fit any currently accepted theories, right? Neither of geology nor the history of mankind or humanity. I want to say here, and it's the world is full of these bizarre and mysterious artifacts, right? And some are hoaxes, yeah, sure enough, and we'll be the first to admit if there's a hoax, right? Someone gives us the proof and say this is a hoax. We go, okay, yeah, fair enough, we get it. But don't say, clearly, or the expert are saying, or common sense says, or everybody knows.
Everybody knows, yeah.
Everybody knows, yeah. Last week, right, Dave? This is just not a valid argument, so forget about it, right? But some are truly mysterious. Right. Okay, or they have outlandish histories, right? Just researching the show, I found an explanation for the Voynich document, right, which I'm going to investigate a bit more deeply, which is in fact meant to be which traces its origins to ancient India, and 3 or 4 Brahmi languages, and it may have been a practice back in those days to code these books in families to save them from the Muslim invaders. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to investigate this and see if that is true, the Voynich manuscript specifically. Now it's a shame that some dubious artifacts get the lion's share of the attention, right? When there are truly many mysteries out there, and some of them are hoaxes, like I said, right? So it's a shame that the focus is on those particular artifacts, and and even some of the better known artifacts have mysterious or bizarre features, right? And they may be more interesting than saying, just it doesn't always have to be aliens either, right? Just saying, it could be an ancient civilization.
Aliens did it.
Aliens did it.
Because aliens, no, not necessarily. And just for you religious people out there, and in fact, Bishop Ussher said the Earth was created 4004 BC. I think it was October 13th at 4:40 p.m. He figured out it was something like that, right? But according to science. Humanity, mankind, is only a few million years old, and the oldest civilization existed just tens of thousands of years ago. All right, so this is where we are with our current understanding. However, is it possible? And we've been asking these questions now for 4 years on the air, but certainly for 40 years almost for both Dave and I privately. Could both religion and science are wrong? And when I say religion, I mean Christian religion specifically, or the Abrahamic religions, right, the Bible and whatnot. And now there's a great deal of archaeological evidence, and we've brought this to you as well, Michael Cremo and co, that the history of life on Earth might be far different from what we currently understand and what geology and anthropology tell us. Okay. Now I want you to think about these things as we go through it. Specifically our place in the universe, our age. Humanity's age, right? And all the things that you were not told in school. We're going to start with the Salzburg Cube, and I did not know about this, even though I'm from Germany and I should have known, but this was a new one for me, right? In 1885, Reidel, an employee at an Austrian foundry, discovered the mysterious Salzburg Cube, also known as the Wolf's Egg Iron. He cracked open a seam of coal to find a strange-looking iron cube inside it. It had many cracks and little holes in it, as well as a strange color and a deep fissure down the middle. Reidel had never seen anything like it before, so after showing it to his boss, they turned it over to the Heimathaus Museum. The next year, a professor at the museum named Adolf Gold studied the cube and determined it to be a part of a meteorite. Yeah, because case closed. However, further studies by the Natural History Museum in Vienna proved that it was not, in fact, a meteorite, but artificially manufactured from an unknown source. Now, that's what the Natural History Museum in Vienna found. It is thought that the coal that produced the Salzburg cube, where it was found in, was at least 60 million years old.
Yeah.
60 million years old, right? Adding to the mystery of the cube is how some people actually believe it to have vanished. The reasons for this range from it being part of a shadowy conspiracy to it simply being debunked as a worthless piece of rock and tossed away as such. This, of course, ignores the fact that the cube does in fact exist and can be found safely on display at its usual home, the Heimathaus Museum in Vienna. So if you have time, and I will next time, I didn't know about this, but next time I'm in Vienna, I will certainly go to the Heimathaus Museum and check it out.
Look, I can see, I've got, Meki, just for everyone's awareness, I've got this on the YouTube clip, so if you're in the chat room, have a look at the live stream link that I put in. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is the picture of the Salzburg cube. To me, it does look very meteorite-ish. And I can see where the first determinations of that
looking
at it
have come
it
from.
Sort of makes sense.
Looking at it, it sort of makes sense.
The next thing that we've got, these are all findings.
These are all things that have been found that are mysteries. Remember, this is what we're talking about today. Is the unsolved mysteries.
And this is the screaming mummy.
And this is this.
And I'm going to see if I can put that a picture there. There we go. So this is the screaming mummy. It says, discovered in 1886, a mummy with an agonized expression on its face has long since been the object of speculation. This mummy has all its organs, or I should say his, because it's determined to be a male, all his organs, which is not customary with mummification. Many interesting theories have arisen, though none have been proven right or wrong. I have to flick it off there because I've got to read the text. Bob Breyer, the
University of Long Island archaeologist, speculated that two parties were responsible for the mummy's agonized expression. One was the murderer, while the other ensured full preservation of the body, possibly due to a personal relationship with the victim. Other researchers and archaeologists have come up with theories ranging from cold-blooded murder to poisoning to being buried alive.
A 2008
National Geographic documentary special investigated the possibility that the mummy could be Prince Pendeweer, son of Pharaoh Ramses III, who was suspected of planning his father's murder. Ancient documents from the 12th century claimed that one of Pharaoh Ramses III's wives was tried for conspiring to kill him due to her desire for Pendeweer to take over the throne. It was also thought, when this plan was discovered, she poisoned Pendeweer as punishment and rolled him up in sheets after being mummified. If this was the case, the scream could have been due to the pain from the poison ingestion. Painful poison ingestion.
Sort of works for me.
However, sort of works for me. However, only a CT scan had been done of the screaming mummy, and it remains pure speculation whether the mummy was in fact Prince Pendeweer or not.
Otherwise, less sensational
theories suggest that the mummy's jaw is open simply because his head is most likely rolled back after death occurred. But even if that bit of realism is as good as, I guess, as anybody else's, I'm going to say, have you ever fallen asleep with your head back on the train or something, Meki? Your jaw falls open, yes. But the other one is, it's possible the skin just tightened
during its drying
process.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Correct. Now, the next one is one of my favorites, and it reminds me of the tales I heard of Arabian Nights. You might be familiar with it. The Shahrazad told 1001 tales. The ever-burning lamps. Lamps that kept on burning without using any fuel were discovered all over the world during the Middle Ages. These lamps were sealed into tombs, supposedly to ensure the deceased had light to guide them to their way to the afterlife. Some of these tombs were opened years later, and the lamps were still burning. Superstitious types became terrified of this phenomenon. It's not unusual. Let's burn down the libraries. No, sorry, the observatory, so this will never happen again. Destroying any ever-burning lamp they came across. People accused pagan priests of trickery. Others simply refused to believe that a lamp could burn for an indefinite period of time. The vast majority claimed that the devil was to blame. If in doubt, blame the devil. Speculation was also rife that Hebrew communities had discovered and preserved what today is known as electricity. Not too far-fetched if you think about it. According to the legend, a French rabbi named Jelichele possessed a lamp that could light up by itself with no fuel or wick. Jechiel, according to this tale, invented a special button that would discharge an electric current to his metal door knocker. If someone touched the door knocker at the same time the rabbi touched the nail, the person would receive a shock and double over. Even with electricity being a common thing nowadays, all who have tried to replicate the ever-burning lamps have failed. Therefore the question remains, how were these lamps able to keep burning for hundreds of years without fuel? Now, electricity is something that has existed always.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't invent it. We discovered it.
We didn't invent it. We discovered it.
We discovered it, sir. Exactly. Now, why couldn't someone? It's like America. We didn't invent America. We didn't even. We discovered it. The Westerners discovered it for the Westerners, right? Not for the Native Americans living there.
They'd somehow already.
They'd somehow already discovered it themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you find today? Oh, I just got up one morning and I got there it was. Yeah, I got up there this morning. But the point is that why can't these discoveries, even inventions in some cases, happen before today? Maybe inventions of a completely different nature to what we would have today. Right? Different technology. Anywho,
well, Meki,
over to you, sir.
Meki,
that's okay. Meki, the powerless light has now been invented. I think it was an Indian student
from India, mind you.
Has
invented a
self-powering
lamp.
LED lamp that doesn't require any fuel.
So it's entirely possible that
this could be made.
This is the thing that Meki and I haven't said so far
this show is
we've talked about
the current age of the current belief of the human race and the Earth,
not that there was a
previous civilization on this planet. Usually it can't be aliens, or maybe it's not aliens. It could be just the cycle of there being more and more, looking back in time, intelligent species that have asked these same questions. Maybe they had the internet as well.
Their own internet, by the way.
Their own internet, by the way.
All right, so we've got the Pansian caves.
The Pansian caves.
And this, if I can get this in shot. Hang on, there we go. The Pansian caves. Here we go. I'll say it again. There we go. All right. The Pansian Dadong caves are known to have housed humans 300,000 years ago. What a segue. I didn't know I was that good at segues, Meki.
You're the best.
It is also known that large animals inhabited the vicinity of the caves as well. Scientists, however, were extremely surprised to find prehistoric deposits indicating massive stegodons and rhinoceros also lived, or at least died, inside the caves, or were dragged in bits and eaten. They found this very strange, seeing how the caves are at 1,600 meters, or 5,250 feet above sea level. I really liked it. Where are these caves?
Mickey, where are these caves? What country is that?
China. Oh, right. Wow.
Oh, right.
Okay, so
paleoanthropologist Lynn Schwerpart stated how rare it is to find animals in a cave that don't typically live in them. She believes that the stegodons and rhinos were very unlikely to simply wander into the cave. Rhinos in particular are solitary animals that graze on their own, and yet here lie their remains. One theory involves carnivorous animals killing the mammals and dragging them into the cave. The most likely answer, though, would be human intervention. Inspection of the bones showed that they were burnt, then pounded by what could only have been a tool made out of stone, probably to get the marrow.
The last expedition
to the cave took place in 1998. My bad. To date, no further progress has been made in determining just exactly how those large animals got into the cave at all.
Now bear in mind,
it's a mystery.
No, it's quite inland, quite far inland in southern China, right? And not only that, it's like they've said, 1,600 meters above sea level. So even if you had hunted them and dragged them back, I mean, this would have taken quite some effort, and surely there would have been something more easily huntable at that time. Or the caves were not at 1,600 meters back in the day.
Who knows? Yes, good point.
Don't know. Which brings us to the Lady of the Spiked Throne, another one that I wasn't familiar with. The Lady of the Spiked Throne is a fitting name given to a mysterious and unique artifact dating back to 2700 BC, 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, guys. The artifact remains one of the strangest ancient objects ever found. Why? After ensuring it was not a fake, right, so it's not a fake, everybody seems to agree, Italian archaeologist Massimo Vidale and his team noted the lady's unique look for posterity. The object is shaped like a large vehicle, most likely like a chariot or boat. And just 1 second, Dave.
You're right, man. I'll take it. The object is shaped like a large vehicle, most likely a chariot or boat, ending at the front with the figurine of a large bull's head. Inside the vehicle are 15 figures forming what can be described as a procession. There are traces of yellow, red, and black on these figures, which means it had been painted.
Let me just
take this.
Some of the male figurines share the same adornments around the neck and on their head. Conical gowns are worn that have not been observed in other similar figurines. So it's an isolated incident.
You can also see a
female figurine seated on a throne of spikes, therefore the name Lady of the Spiked Throne. Vidal's studies concluded that lady was created by the ancient Indus civilization, but its meaning and purpose is a mystery. No evidence suggests Indus used any four-wheeled vehicles,
and it is unknown whether
the artifact was made for ritual use or another, more practical reason.
Back up there again. It looks like it's a dragon figurine. I can see some feet. I don't think it's a four-wheeled vehicle. It's probably more likened to it could be a chariot style. Could be horse-drawn. It could be a boat. There's no sail, though. It's a very unusual-looking piece. Respect to the creator.
Respect to the creator.
And next time
you're going to create something, write its meaning underneath to stop us having to worry about it.
Okay, so here's this one I like.
Is the ancient structure.
It's my favorite. In 2003, scientists accidentally discovered a circular structure underneath the Sea of Galilee. Publishing the findings almost 10 years later, that means they sat on it for 10 years. Geophysicist Shmuel Marco told CNN that they were very surprised to see what looked like a Bronze Age statue on the ocean floor. However, Marco speculated that the ancient structure may have been a marine nursery. Most archaeologists, however, believed it was situated on land and became submerged by water over time. And as we spoke about last week, to back that up,
there's also the Egyptian city that's underwater that wasn't at the time.
Those are all
clearly,
skin divers.
Unless they're all skin divers.
Or dolphins inhabited
the ancient city. The structure, made up of basalt and shaped like a cone, measuring 70 metres or 230 feet at the bottom. The structure is 10 metres tall or 33 feet tall and is estimated to weigh 54 million kilograms or 60 tons. 60
It can be
tons.
compared to the size of
It can be compared to the size of 2 Stonehenges.
Its age is estimated to be
between 2,000 and 12,000 years old, and a range determined by calculating the amount of sand that accumulated over the base of the structure, as well as comparing it to similar structures found around.
Archaeologist Danny
Nadel has interestingly noted that the structure has similar features to that of other ancient burial sites in the area, calling it a truly unusual find. Nadel theorized that the structure could have been used for ceremonial purposes. He also pointed out that how the structure being built using large stones weighing almost 100 kilos each, or 220 pounds each, was very impressive feat. He stressed, however, that the true purpose and age of the structure will likely remain unknown.
That's just something else. I love the hidden shoes. Alright, Meki's still not back, so I'll do it. Archaeologists discover an unusual treasure during an expedition in Egypt in 2004. In a jar, placed in the middle of 2 other jars, and set into a small open space between 2 mud brick walls, was 7 shoes. 2 of the pair of shoes were children's shoes, and the remaining shoes belonged to an adult that possibly had a limp. Archaeologist Angelo Cesana stated that the shoe jar had been hidden deliberately more than 2,000 years ago. I mean, you got to ask, why are you going to hide shoes?
Unless, of course, the government said all of those people with shoes are going to be locked away. But who knows? Andre, an expert in ancient footwear, has called the discovery of the shoes extraordinary because of the excellent condition they were found in. He analysed the shoes and theorised that they were quite expensive and meant for status. He added that there was mystery surrounding the hiding of the shoes and how the owners never retrieved them again after hiding them. He speculated that there may have been some form of unrest in the area, causing someone to hide their shoes for reasons unknown and flee the scene, or they just claim to be poor. Oh, we're not rich, we haven't got any shoes. No shoes in this house. Move along. These aren't the shoes you're looking for, Mickey.
My apologies, everybody. My wife is very pregnant, so I may be disappearing from the air at given intervals. So my apologies. The next one are the Baye tunnels. Baye tunnels. More than 2,000 years ago, the Baye temple in Rome was a popular destination known alternately for minerals, with supposed immortality bestowing powers, and possibly housing the entrance to Hades, or the Roman version of hell. Now just the mysterious ruins remain. In the 1960s, Robert Paget and Keith Jones decided to explore these ruins. After struggling to get through the narrow opening, they found themselves in a narrow tunnel smelt volcanic gas. Paget found the start of the tunnel complex, and this is probably the sulfur they smelled as well, and that's probably what people believed was the entrance to Hades. Now Paget found the start of the tunnel complex was pointed toward the summer sunrise, and the tunnels ran perfectly from east to west toward the equinoctial sunrise. This indicated rituals were affected during the building of the tunnels. The pair found many niches meant for lamps along the tunnels, and indications that great thought went into the building and setting out of the tunnels in order to keep them hidden. They also found what seemed to be a ventilation system inside a blockage within the tunnel system. However, it was when they reached the end of a steep tunnel that the real mystery presented itself. Just after a sharp bend ran a stream of boiling hot water. A stone landing projected out into the water and seemed to vanish into the dark. The man decided that if Hades didn't in fact exist, they had just found its mythical entrance. In 1965, the two men, with the help of Colonel David Lewis, determined the boiling water was due to underground volcanic chambers that produced hot springs. However, even with this new knowledge, they still could not solve the mystery of who built the tunnels of Barrier, or what their real purpose was.
Very nice.
Very nice.
It's not unusual, Meki.
It's not unusual, Meki, to have tunnels that have an east-west or usually solstice or summer sun that ritualize the season ending or beginning, or it's halfway through the year, or now it's time to start doing whatever it is meant to be doing. So as a clock,
yes, sir.
In some way, shape, or form.
There's also
in North America, there are tunnels, shorter tunnels, but there are tunnels which have running water in them, and they're made of. They look very similar to the Barrier tunnels that I've seen in documentaries.
And
so
they were supposed to be.
They were supposed to be.
They claimed to be
one group of people, but I actually think they're much older. I mean,
yes,
much older.
12,000 years ago.
Possibly the 12,000 years ago or something like that.
That's really where I'm going.
That's really where I'm going.
How about
Meki, the Antelope Springs?
One of my
footprint.
favorites. Please. Yes, it is, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, on June 1st, 1968, amateur fossil hunter William J. Meister Sr. took his family on a trip to Antelope Springs. Meister couldn't take off his fossil hunting jacket, though, and went in search of trilobite fossils. They're one of my favourite, to be honest. He eventually found a fossil with what looked like a shoe print, the heel digging deeper in than the rest of the foot, signifying a foot. Below the imprint, he found 2 trilobite fossils. Meister immediately thought that the person wearing the shoes had stepped on the fossils. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Taking it for examination, Meister and fellow researcher dated the fossil at almost 600 million years old. I said that intentionally slowly. And determined it was likely formed in the Middle Cambrian Wheeler Shale. When they explored the area, they discovered slabs of mudstone that had once upon a time formed an entire land area. The mystery, however, is that while the shoe print clearly indicates someone standing or stepping on trilobites, there is no evidence indicating any pressure on the trilobites themselves. Also, the trilobites were marine creatures,
meaning that whoever created the shoe print had entered the area.
Entered their area underwater.
Entered their area underwater. Why exactly? No one knows.
Meki, if time travel
was available to us today, where would you go?
Oh, probably there, to be honest with you, or to the footprints.
It wouldn't matter when you went
there.
And which order you won Lotto
in.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter any of those things.
It wouldn't matter any of those things. Just that you did
do them. Lord, I imagine.
Like a time lord, I imagine, because the time is irrelevant.
Right. Yes.
Where next, Meki, can you wear your nice
shoes?
I sure will. Because they look like really nice dress shoes, don't they?
They do.
They do.
It's crazy stuff. But no, this is one of my favorite fossil because the trilobite seems to have been crushed. This is important. Seems to have been crushed by whomever was wearing that particular shoe. Which brings us to the pyramid of Helinikon. It seems strange to think that the pyramids in Europe, but there are quite a few of them, in fact. In Greece alone, there are 16, of which the most well-known is the Helicon pyramid in Argos. And the first mention of the pyramid was made in the writings of ancient Greek geographer Pausanias. Actually, I read him in high school, believe it or not. In description of Greece, he describes the structure as a building made very like a pyramid, and on it, in relief, are wrought shields of the Argive shape. He then mentions a battle that took place at the pyramid and the reconciliation that took place afterwards. A common tomb was built there for those that fell during the battle. Not much is known about the pyramid other than its estimated date of construction, which was thought to be around 3000 BC. Again, 5,000 years ago, right? 5,000 years ago. But the greatest mystery about this pyramid isn't its age. It's that no one knows who built it or what it was actually used for. The biggest mystery seems to be that all the excavation efforts have been abandoned, despite the significance that the structure may hold in understanding ancient history. So maybe people have been discouraged from digging there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that sounds likely. Wow. I like this one too. This is the grooved spheres. The grooved spheres. Now they look like sort of like cricket balls with a or bocce balls if you're into the game bocce. That's what they look like. They're round, sort of elongated equator, so a little flatter, pressed down to make the equator come out. Sort of like the way we imagine the Earth to be, but that isn't. We don't see that optically. Over the last few decades, miners in South Africa have been digging up mysterious metal spheres, aka the Klerksdorp spheres. Origin unknown, these spheres measure approximately an inch or so in diameter, and some are etched with 3 parallel grooves running around the equator. 2 types of spheres have been found. One is composed of a solid bluish metal with flecks of white. The other is hollowed out and filled with a spongy white substance. Are you ready for this? The kicker.
Are you ready for this? The kicker is that the rock in which they were found is pre-Cambrian.
I'm going to say that again.
Pre-Cambrian. And dated to 2.8 billion. That's with a B. Billion years old. Who made those? And what were they for? Michael Tellinger brings this up.
He brought this up when
I saw him. He mentioned these and the rings, the stone rings. I think that's extraordinary. I really do.
It looks like Meki's back. You're back, Meky?
It looks like Meki's back. You're
sure
back,
am,
Meky?
sir.
Awesome.
So now this is actually really interesting if you think about the spheres here, right? 2.8 billion years old, which is just slightly older than science lets us be. Which brings us to the giant stone balls.
Yeah, take that, science.
Yeah, take that, science. I science to you. Yeah.
Nicky, I just have to say.
Nicky, I just have to say real quick that
every time I hear an estimation
about the age of the universe and the Earth,
I
still laugh,
thinking
it's
at
least maybe 5 or 6 zeros at the end.
They're getting older and older every time they
come back with a report of the new age. The current thinking is, before it was 5 billion is the whole universe. Yeah, which is ridiculous, to be honest. The sun's probably 5 billion on its own, and it's a 3rd generation star.
So what about the other
stars and all their ages?
They just made yesterday.
Yeah,
I
get it now. All right.
It's true though. It's true. I mean, we know there are problems with dating, but we also know that certain things are more plausible than others. Let's say, right at this point, we don't know everything yet, but I'm going to go with the older ages. Okay.
Yeah. Add some more zeros and they'll catch up.
Add some more zeros and they'll catch up to us, Mecky.
Next time we need to talk about the National Nuclear Reactor and some funny things about uranium there, which has implications for the dating.
Yes.
Anyway, so that brings us to the giant stone balls of Costa Rica, and bear in mind, stone artifacts are the only thing that is likely to survive a cataclysm of any kind. Stone artifacts, right? Everything else not so likely to survive. Now, what happened? So workmen hacking and burning their way through the dense jungle of Costa Rica to clear an area for banana plantations in the 1930s. That's right, the banana plantations, the wars that the United States started in the Middle American nations, stumbled upon some incredible objects. Dozens of stone balls, many of which were perfectly spherical, meaning perfect spheres, round, right? They varied in size from as small as a tennis ball to an astonishing 8 feet in diameter and weighing up to 16 tons. Although the great stone balls are clearly man-made, it is unknown who made them, for what purpose, and most puzzling, how they achieved such spherical precision. This is really the important thing, right? The precision here. And again, I mean, forget for a second, how you do this and how you would do it. The question is why? Why would you create these stone balls? Is it maybe some kind of artistic arrangement? Was it meant to depict a solar system? Maybe some kind of stellar constellation? I don't know. In fact, I haven't seen the ground plan for these stones. So I would like to, that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to check out the ground plan to see if it actually matches up anything in the sky.
I'm with you. Awesome.
I'm with you. Awesome. Hey, we've got a caller, Mecky. This is area code 817. Go ahead, you're in the air. Don't forget, you've got to turn down your radio.
Yeah, the radio's off.
Thank you.
Good man.
Thank you.
Welcome to Shiny Side Out.
Welcome to Shiny Side Out.
Thanks.
So, what do you have to add?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you guys are talking about some extra solar system types of things, whereas I'm a little bit more concerned. I think most of the audience is more concerned about what's going on the ground. What are your thoughts on that?
At the moment, we're talking about mysteries.
In a previous hour, we were talking about, Jade Helm. And
a whole bunch of stuff going
Blood
on
Moon, a whole bunch of stuff going on in the news.
But
at the moment we're rattling through. We have a lot of notes to get through, so we got a lot to go. And at the moment we're talking about impossible fossils.
But in a nutshell, caller, look, we are as concerned as you are, and as concerned as the rest of the audience. That's why we devoted the first hour to discussing potential scenarios and how we can maybe help ourselves. And that's why we in fact are starting a political party in Australia to see if we can stem some of the flow of adversity that's coming our way. But in the interest of time, we need to move along with the mysteries here. But look, we appreciate anyone calling in, and guys, we understand that you guys are concerned. We are too. Okay, when we make jokes, it's because we would be crying otherwise, and the reason we bring you other things is because we don't think this is the first time it has happened. We think we are reliving almost in a Groundhog Day fashion, civilization after civilization, which is brought to an end to serve the masters. Is my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay, so that's why we're looking at the ancient. And there's a proverb, Chinese, I think, which says if you don't want to learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So we're trying to trying to look forward. We're trying to look back to focus on the present. What can we learn from the future and the past that helps us right now? What can we avoid? Right, that we could have avoided in the past but didn't, that will bring about a better future. So we do appreciate your call, sir, and certainly all the other listeners out there, we are as concerned as you are. But we do believe, and this is not just rattling stuff off, these are mysteries which haven't been solved. And they all point to the same thing. We have been through this before. How can we avoid the same kind of cataclysm or catastrophe yet again, where our population is reduced and where the people at the top are making all the rules, right?
It's Groundhog Day on Earth.
Yes, sir.
And it just takes thousands of years to get there.
Correct.
All right. Impossible fossils. Now, there's a picture of this, and it looks like an imprint into soft clay of a handprint with outspread fingers. That's what it looks like. And it says fossils, as we learned in grade school, appear as rocks that were formed many thousands of years ago. Yet, there are a number of fossils that just don't make geologic or historical sense. A fossil of a handprint, a human handprint, for example, was found in limestone estimated to be 110 million years old. What appears to be a fossilized human finger found in a Canadian Arctic also dates back to 100 to 110 million years ago. And what appears to be the fossil of a human footprint, possibly wearing a sandal, was found near Delta, Utah, in a shale deposit estimated 300 to 600 million years ago. These are very big numbers. And another fossilized human hand was discovered in Bogota, in Colombia, belonging to a private collection. The rock which contains is 100 to 130 million years old.
That's the Gutierrez collection.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Hey, we've got another caller.
It's the same caller.
No.
Yes, it is.
We have another caller. DJ, how are you?
I just wanted to interject. Einstein said God does not play pinball with the universe, so man does. And they were just playing marbles. And,
yes.
And did you hear about? And did you hear about that 38 centimeter long finger they found in Egypt? Which was.
Yes, I saw that this week, but we have to do some research to see whether get some more sources on that one. But yes, but that looks like, and it does confirm that either the Nephilim or giants existed in the past, and of course all of that has been buried. To mind a pun, in museums it's been discarded, and in some cases they started destroying the giants' skulls that were found.
The Pope's coming to Washington D.C. in September.
Yep.
So
he advertised that on his own website.
He's going to tell us Americans don't have God-given rights, so we'll see. We'll see about that.
Does that mean you have to reprint new coins?
Probably.
In God we trust, you see. I'm sorry. It was terrible. Hey, thanks DJ for that.
I'll listen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mecky.
Yeah, and thank you for that. That's I agree. I think someone is playing a cosmic 8-ball with us, but there we are. We have out of place metal objects next. Now again, this goes to the great antiquity of the human race. Humans were not even around 65 million years ago, according to science, right? Never mind people who could work metal, right? So then how does science explain semi-ovoid metallic tubes? Okay, semi-ovoid metallic tubes. I can't think of a natural process which would create them, that were dug out of 65 million year old Cretaceous chalk in France. We spoke about this before in a previous show. In 1885, a block of coal was broken open to find a metal cube, obviously worked by intelligent hands. We just mentioned it, the Salzburg cube, just earlier. In 1912, employees at an electrical plant broke apart a large chunk of coal, out of which fell an iron pot. A nail was found embedded in a sandstone block from the Mesozoic area. And there are many, many more such anomalies. And I would direct your attention to the book by Michael Cremo, Forbidden Archaeology, of which I've got a copy behind me somewhere, but not an easy reach, so I won't go for it, because it means vacating my seat. I won't do that. Now, okay, and we've spent a lot of time on it. And discussed it, and people back in the 19th century, their finds almost entirely are dismissed, right? They're sworn affidavit. These guys had only their word back then. The word actually meant something. But anyway, that's going off topic. What's the next one, sir?
Oh, this will be the last one we'll do today, I think.
This is the Droper stones.
It's a good topic. I like this one. Okay, so the Droper stones. And just get the image. There we go. Or Dropka stones, depending on where you're from, are said to be, by some ufologists and pseudo-archaeologists, to be a series... I hate that term, pseudo-archaeologist. Right. You're either digging stuff up and claiming its age, or you're not. Yeah. To be a series of at least 716 circular stone discs dating back 12,000 years, on which tiny hieroglyphs or hieroglyph-like markings may be found. Each disc is claimed to measure up to 1 foot or 30 centimeters, like an LP record, in diameter, and carry 2 grooves originating from a hole in their center in the form of a double spiral. So that would be 2 needles in stereo would be able to run out from the center to the outside. The hieroglyph-like markings are said to be found in these grooves. Well, that's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
The In 1938,
an archaeological expedition led by Dr. Chai Pu-Te into the Bian-Karaula Mountains of China made an astonishing discovery in some caves that had apparently been occupied by some ancient culture. Buried in the dust of ages on the cave floor were hundreds of stone discs measuring about 9 inches in diameter. Each had a circle cut into the center and was etched with a spiral groove, making it look for all of the world like some ancient phonograph record, some 10,000 to 12,000 years old. The spiral groove, it turns out, is actually composed of tiny hieroglyphs that tell the incredible story of spaceships from some distant world that crash-landed in the mountains. The ships were piloted by people who call themselves the Dropa, and remains of whose descendants possibly were found in the cave.
That is awesome.
Mekki,
that is awesome. It's incredible stuff. And again, to get to the point of this, we are trying to stick to the topic that we've chosen for any given week we're in, hoping that it captures your imagination, that you get something out of it, that it's interesting. We devote nowadays the better part of the first hour to current events, news items that should also worry you, that you might not have heard about. So it's no disrespect we mean to anyone that calls in. Please do keep calling in, and we understand it, we get it, and we've only got a little bit of time left. But do understand as well, listeners, that we do have some topics we'd like to share with you, which feed back into the larger theory construct we're trying to present you with, and have in fact in the past. If you go back to show 100, we've shared with you our awareness cascade hypothesis. And so far, Dave, I have not come across a single piece of evidence that contradicts our hypothesis.
Absolutely, you're right. It does.
Absolutely, you're right.
At area code 817.
Area code 817.
Thank you.
You're back. Thank you. What do you have?
Hello, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, you guys are talking about ancient artifacts, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to keep on the subject so that I don't get booted.
Go ahead, sir.
We've only got 2 minutes left, by the way.
We've only got 2 minutes left, by the way.
Have you guys seen the skeletons that have been pulled up and that were 30 feet high of the humans, the skeletons that were giants spoken of in the Old Testament Genesis 6 Bible?
So you'd be referring to the Nephilim?
So you'd be referring to the Nephilim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Have you seen the skeletons? Yeah. Okay. Do we deny that? I mean, on this show, as far as you guys are concerned, is that a false type of made-up history, or do you think that that's real artifacts?
Personally, I can tell you personally what I believe, caller. I believe that the human race was a lot more varied in ancient times than it is today. There was a bottleneck event, and I do believe that the existence of giants is very much possible. I do. I don't know specifically if these skeletons are real or not. I haven't seen them myself. I haven't seen any reports coming around authenticity or anything like that. But do I believe that giants existed? Yes. Do I believe that dwarfs or the tiny people existed? Yes. In fact, I've been proven right on this when the Homo fiorensis was found in Papua New Guinea. Mm-hmm. So I think the human race was a lot more varied, and I don't think it's that far-fetched to assume that the giants or human creatures of a giant stature, up to 10, maybe 15, 20 feet tall, I don't know how tall, right? I don't think that's unusual, because if you look at the fossil record even of species we know today, like the crocodile and the shark, they were massively bigger than today, like 10, 15 times bigger than the current specimens. So no, I don't think it's far-fetched at all.
A lot of people, area code 817.
A lot of people, area code 817. A lot of people consider the fact that people were shorter in the olden days to make giants only 6 foot tall. I don't believe that. I believe that they were 15, even up to 36 feet tall. But who were they? Were they inhabitants of Earth? Were they just visitors of Earth? We don't know, and you know what? This is our journey too, and we want to find out.
Well, if you get on YouTube, you'll find out that those people had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand and each foot. So they were different. They were genetically different, and they tested the genomes of these people, and they found out that the DNA was different than humans. And you're more than welcome to do that, and I encourage you to investigate it, and you come back to me after you've investigated it. In the meantime, I'm going to give up the floor to you guys. But please don't hang up on me, because I'd like to be able to comment.
Well, this is the end of our show.
Well, this is the end of our show. So, but thank you for being a part of it. And all I can say is that Mickey and I, if we're sure of anything, it is that the giants or the ancient, anomalies are being kept from us. They're not being displayed mainstream. All right, even the elongated skulls is rare to find. But we thank you for being a part of show 171. 171, Mickey. We're going to see everyone. We're going to see everyone next week for 172. We will finish the mysterious objects. Thanks so much for being a part of it. Take care, everyone.